All right, JD Young is Locked On Sharks. And JD, I got to say thank you for all of your hard work, especially covering the Sharks pipeline. Thanks for all you do and contributing to this hockey community.
It's been a good season where I haven't had to focus on the pipeline as much because the actual Sharks team is really fun to watch. But yes, I do appreciate it, Brodie.
The pipeline is arriving. Maybe that's the new team slogan. The future is teal, but now the pipeline is here. If you had to summarize this entire Sharks season, the first half so far, in just one sentence, one statement, one theme, how do you even do that?
Macklin Celebrini is a superstar. I think that's everything with the Sharks just comes down to number 71 becoming a superstar way faster than I think any of us predicted. And his emergence as a legitimate NHL superstar has just changed his franchise and the direction and kind of what we think of this team and where this team is heading in a much faster pace than all of us expected.
50% of the scoring coming from 71. That'll do it for a franchise, no
That
doubt.
will.
You know, he's also been a part of some of the big endings of wins and games and situations and moments, and there have been contributions far and wide. Like, I do want to make that point as well, but he's been in the middle of it. But in terms of your biggest, like, again, win or completion of a game or moment or storyline of the season, what's the biggest one for you?
I mean, you could pick from a whole ton of them, but for me, it comes to that Penguins game, right, where it's not just the win, but Will Smith gets crunched along the boards. You know he's hurt. You know he's going to be out for a while from there. Celebrini, steps up, stands up for his teammate. Not only does he do that, but then he's the one who leads the charge for the comeback. And I think just kind of solidified that moment that where as long as Celebrini is wearing teal and skating, you're going to have a chance in every game, right? You're never out of a game as long as 71 is there. And I have this running joke, right? Put the C on the child. Like that was, I think, the moment where you're really just like, okay, this is the captain of the Sharks in all respects, other than he has a letter stitched on his jersey. And you go from that point, right, where you lose one of your best players in Will Smith, and you think, okay, like the season's going really well, but I mean, again, you lost arguably your second best player, Will Smith. Like, how is this team going to respond? Celebrini puts this team on the back, and they go 8-5 without Will Smith. Like, if you had told me they'd gone 8-5 during that stretch with Will Smith, like you would probably have taken it. The fact that he not only responded to that moment, but then continued to carry this team along, I think shows just how monumental that moment was for the Sharks.
You've been around this long enough. How much did that Pittsburgh game remind you of the Vegas game? In totally different circumstances, but I mean, the idea of somebody getting hurt and then the response.
Yeah, it's just continued Sharks lore of being able to respond in a huge moment there. It's goosebumps just thinking about that game. And again, going back to that Vegas game, right, where we still talk about it. It's been 8 years now, and we still talk about that, or 7 years now, we still talk about that moment. I think this is going to be one of those like just forever stitched into Sharks lore games.
Okay, and I do want to be fair. Like, we care about this team, and we're interested in where they're going. And it's not to say that the second half is going to be some paved road for this team all the way to the playoffs. But if you do have some concerns going into the second half of the season, let's be honest, what are they?
I think for the Sharks formula, right, where it's win every close game or you get absolutely blown out, right? And you see that especially against the top teams like Vegas. You saw that against Tampa Bay, where it's just if things don't go well, the wheels just come off the games pretty quickly. But then you win every close game, and you have to worry about some sort of regression to the mean, where you can't just constantly win every game in overtime. The big thing is, though, you do have a little game breaker in Macklin Celebrini, where if you can keep it close, you have a feeling he's going to do something special in overtime, and he constantly does something special in overtime. So that is the worry, is that regression to the mean of just winning every close game.
They have been clutch, all those overtime wins in a row. That's been a tremendous run. What's your best approach for the trade deadline? And I think in seasons past, it may have been more clear what the Sharks need to do and what they will do. I don't know what they'll do this time around. What do you think they'll do?
I think Mike Grier is going to try to thread the needles. This is something I've said a bunch of times on the podcast, where I think he's going to try to ship off some of the veteran guys who are on those, very movable contracts. But then I think he's going to try to add something that will actually be part of the future here. The problem is everybody's still in this thing. So it's hard to try to pinpoint one team or one player. But I think Mike Grier is going to try to thread this needle of both selling and adding, not only for this season, but for the long term.
You've pointed out on social media that the Sharks' schedule in the second half and down the stretch, it's beneficial. And again,
Yes.
this is the NHL where parity is king, so no night is going to be easy, and they're all very unpredictable. But what do you see in just where they're at right now? Pretty good position. Like, they've been lined up for the playoffs for a while versus what they're up against in the remaining couple months.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing some of the teams who are going to be competing for, top 5, top 10 picks in the draft this year. And I think that does line up for the Sharks, especially after the trade deadline, when you will have some clarity on who's actually trying to compete and who is actually going to be selling. So it does really kind of line up. I mean, the Sharks' schedule has been absolutely brutal when it comes to just the competition of teams, right? You haven't really played a lot of those, like, the Blackhawks or the Canucks or the Predators or the Blues, especially in the Western Conference. Those teams who are below you. And yes, you have to, win those games, and that's easier said than done. But the path is there for the Sharks to not only make the playoffs, but to get out of the wild card and be the 3 seed in the Pacific, which I think a lot of us didn't expect. And if you're trying to jockey for position, I don't know about you, but I don't want to play the Avalanche and I don't want to play Vegas because those, one, the Avalanche are just juggernauts, and two, the Vegas continues to have our numbers. So I would love to try to kind of work myself into that third position in the Pacific. And I think the schedule is going to really line up for the Sharks to compete for that.
As somebody who is surrounding, the narrative of the team and covering the stories and translating that to fans, are you somebody who wants to talk about playoff opportunity, or do you want to just let it pan out a little bit more and see as we get closer here? Like, should we start that conversation now, or is it too soon?
I don't know, man. That's the fun part about this is like, because it's been so long that we haven't been able to do this where you are excited about it. But again, like you do want to kind of realize this is still a very young team. They're going to make young team mistakes. And I do want to see how this team does perform when you start to play these playoff like games, right? Where Celebrini and Eklund and Smith and, Dickinson, how all these young players, when the you see that gear kind of go up and the intensity rise a little bit, how do they respond? And I think this is going to be a really good opportunity down the stretch for them to do that. But yeah, I mean, right now, I think it's just kind of enjoy the ride because it's been so long since we've been able to enjoy the ride. So as fun it is to think about playoffs, like let's just enjoy it because it's been so long.
JD, that's so well said. I hope I'm not introducing anybody or you to anybody here. I hope they already are very familiar, but just in case, where can we find all of your work?
Of course, you can find Locked On Sharks wherever you listen to podcasts, and you can watch on YouTube as well. Follow the show, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok at Locked On Sharks as well. So plenty of dumb content on there. That's as I always say, idiot with a microphone who's just a fan. So yes.
Hey, welcome to the club. There's two of us. JD, I appreciate this. Let's do it again down the stretch.
Of course, Brodie, anytime.